Do you struggle with being perfect, so much so that you fail to make progress? Well, perfectionism can be very destructive if we let it. So this episode is just what you need to get that in check. Well, hello, my lovely people. This is Naomi Tucker with Planet on a Post-it, and welcome to another episode of the podcast. Today, we'll be jumping into Season 2, Episode 15, and we'll be discussing dropping perfectionism in pursuit of progress. But first, as you know, there are a few notable mentions. Are you a reader? If so, you'll love the fact that there is an event planner book club within this community. We enjoy reading books that not only will help us learn more about ourselves, but about making our event planning worlds a little better. This month, we're digging into Atomic Habits by James Clear. If you want to learn how to make big progress with small steps, this is the book for you. Now, I've jumped into reading this book already, and it has reeled me in, so I am sure you're going to love it. The next book club date is August 5th at 7 p.m. Central Time. For all of my regulars, note the time has changed. We're going to play around with the timing on this one and have moved up the time an hour to help accommodate some others that may want to join in. So, note your calendars. August 5th, 7 p.m., sign up on Facebook. Now, we're trying a new format in this book club. All participants will be able to join via video live. So make sure to have all of your big takeaways from this book available and ready to share. I'll link the RSVP link within the show notes for your reference. Now, lastly, if you could go ahead and subscribe to the podcast, that would be wonderful. And give it an awesome rating if you like it. It would help me to reach so many more people. Also, if you know someone that may benefit from this podcast, why not share it with them? Well, that's all for the updates. Let's jump into our episode. Again, today we'll be talking about dropping perfectionism in pursuit of progress. I wanted to start this episode off with a story. Many of you that follow my blog may have already read this story. I received a lesson on perfectionism from my husband and a fire pit. My husband is always a straight shooter. He makes decisions from his gut. And I, on the other hand, can be what's called a recovering perfectionist. Hey, I'm an event planner, and we're all known to be type A here at some point or another, right? Well, one cloudy night, my husband wanted to do a fire pit. However, my radar forecast and my senses were telling me it was not a good idea. On the other hand, my husband was truly convinced that the weather won't take a turn for the worse and that we should go ahead and go for it. We were at what's called a crossroads. But planning the perfect experience includes allowing for imperfections. And that's what I relearned that night. Because you want the very perfect experience and feel that imperfections could destroy everything. That imperfections won't give you the exact experience that you planned for. This is how I felt that weekend. Me and my husband were deciding on whether or not to do a fire pit. Well, the end of the story is that my husband figured out he was going to do it. He was going to go for it. And his hunch was right. Although cloudy and grim, it turned out to be a good night to light a fire. And as the night went on, our neighbors saw the opportunity to also come out and join in on the fun. Eventually, the clouds parted and the stars shined brightly, in a way of saying that if you have a little bit of faith, things usually tend to work out. Now, if you're like me, you're type A, and you could be a little bit of a control freak. Again, we're event planners. We typically like to have control of absolutely everything. And although we bask in how good this makes us feel, we might need to just pump the brakes a little bit. Perfectionism is like a dirty word wrapped in a beautiful package because no one is truly perfect. And putting yourself up on that level is only going to hurt you later because no one can truly reach that level all of the time. Brené Brown, in her book Daring Greatly, she says it best when she says, perfectionism is not a way to avoid shame. Perfectionism is a form of shame. Think about that. If you're not careful, perfectionism can hurt you. It can destroy your events, and it can even harm your life and relationships. Yes, we want to have a mission to ensure that our events are spectacular. They're amazing. They deliver experiences and memorable moments that change people's lives. Yet, we can't allow ourselves to be judged by the imperfections in a way that can be harmful to our well-being, in a way that would bring us shame. Here are a few questions that can show you if you're suffering from a bit of perfectionism. Number 1, have you adopted praise or getting tons of recognition as your system to success? Now, if so, let's take a look at this deeper. You're buying into that if you get praise, that the recognition is what you're looking forward to gaining when you're planning events. Although recognition is healthy and welcome, it should not be the sole reason for you wanting to do a great job. Working for recognition can be very dangerous as you lose sight on who and what the event is for, because you are working for the praise of your client or for others outside of your client instead of doing a great job. If you're finding yourself in this situation, make sure you're purely coming out from a point of service, looking to do a wonderful jobs because that's what you do. You are there to create experiences for the attendees, to create wonderful experiences. And this can be tricky, but it's worth it if you get it right. The second question, do you ever stop being who you are in order to please or appeal to those that you want to impress? I'll say it again. Do you ever stop being who you are in order to please or appeal to those that you want to impress? Now, some people mold and shape themselves with each event so that they can please others or they can impress others. This is dangerous because no one actually sees who you truly are and what your skills truly are, and that you're uniquely you and have wonderful things to contribute to events and to the world. Each time you plan your events or projects, make sure you do it as yourself. You show up as you, not in the image of what you may think others want you to be. The third question, do you have a serious fear of failure? And so much so that you're very fearful of making a mistake in your work. Now, this is a truly dangerous situation. In this case, you should ask, what's driving your fear? Are you driving your fear? And why? Or is it your job, your boss, your manager, or your client? These are very healthy questions to ask yourself so you can understand what's driving you to that fear of failure. Working from a failure mindset can destroy you in the long run. Think about it. If you're already sensing that you will fail, you've already lost. So the alternative, do the best you can and give it your all always, even if it's imperfect. And if it is, you have learnings for the next time. But be careful of allowing your fear or anyone else's fear placed on you to run your life. I want to share this quote with you from Brené Brown in her Daring Greatly book. It is the belief that when we do things perfectly and look perfect, we can minimize and avoid the pain of blame, judgment, or shame. Perfectionism is a 20-ton shield that we lug around thinking it will protect us, when in fact, it's the thing that prevents us from being seen. I've seen perfectionism really destroy a planner and their thoughts and perceptions on their abilities. I've seen the near perfect event be brought down in greatness only because one attendee or one client raises a challenge. I believe this is a symptom of perfectionism in our industry. And not only should we be working through perfectionism in our mindsets with ourselves, we also have to work through those with our clients and our attendees as well. This doesn't mean that things won't be great or they won't get an amazing experience. But what it does mean is that they are prepared for the subtle imperfections that may arise in the event, and that those imperfections won't tarnish with the majority of the attendee's experience. When a planner is working from this mindset, a healthier mindset, they can be happier and create a level of understanding with their clients that moves their relationships forward and does not tear them down. With that said, I want to leave you with 5 tips. The first one, being perfect is not the same as being excellent. You can be excellent at what you do. Excellence accounts for the imperfections. Perfectionism can be dangerous. Avoid a perfection mindset at all costs. And that's number 2. Perfectionism can be dangerous, so avoid that mindset at all costs. Number 3, focus on your goals, on tangible outcomes. Take perfection out of your vision. Number 4, where perfectionism lies, shame creeps in. And why do you want to experience shame? And number 5, perfectionism can be an addiction, so don't get addicted to it. Find your way around it. Well, that's all for this episode. I hope you enjoyed it and was able to get a few tips that will help you out. Let me know what you think by going to my website for this episode and leaving a message or a comment on how perfectionism affects you in your work. Enjoy the rest of your week. Cheers. Again, thank you so much for joining me today for this episode. If you really enjoyed it, again, please show it by subscribing and rating to this podcast. This will ensure that this content is able to be seen by others that might gain valuable insights from it. If you want to learn more, please go to planetonapostit.com. That's planetonapostit.com. Thank you.